This is James Pond 2, codename Robocod, or just James Pond 2 Robocod, as I also like to call it. This game I absolutely love. I first came across it on the Sega Mega Drive, but this is the PlayStation 1 version of it. There's not a whole great number of differences, aside from the fact that the graphics and sound have been improved over the Mega Drive version, but it still plays pretty much the same. The control system is pretty much the same. Quite a few of the levels, well, I don't know actually. Some of them feel a bit different and a bit new, and other ones feel the same. I can't really remember what they were like on the Mega Drive. Certainly the early levels feel very similar. I think what throws a bit of confusion in there is the different graphics, the improved graphics. There's more detail in the background, there's lighting effects and so on and so forth. Just, I suppose, the kind of differences that one would expect the PlayStation 1 version to have over the Mega Drive, because it was at the end of the day a far more powerful games console. The other good thing about it on the PlayStation version, there wasn't a huge number of platform games on the Sony PlayStation. Most games manufacturers at that time were going all crazy for the 3D technology that it had, so to play a real, I'm going to perhaps be borderline controversial and say a definitive version of a 16-bit platform game was quite a refreshing change. Now some people might prefer the Mega Drive version, but I prefer this one, not just because cosmetically and graphically, but I don't know, I just found it was always a tough game, but I just found the game is one of those rare exceptions where a game actually controls better on a control system that it never was originally designed for, if that makes any sense. I mean, one would think that the Mega Drive joypad would make the game play better, but it's obvious the developers tweaked it. Rather than just do a sort of bog standard conversion, they did actually bother tweaking it for the PlayStation controller. That said, I mean, there are the familiar niggles are there. Sometimes getting James to go where you want him to go can be a bit of a pain in the arse. There seems to be kind of a bit of an inertia thing that goes on, where you kind of have to do a backwards tap to get him to stop, especially when he builds up a bit of speed, and that can be quite frustrating at times, especially when you're trying to take out bad guys, and sometimes that can be a bit of a hit and miss affair. But I mean, overall it's still an excellent game, and it does stand up well, I think, to the test of time very, very well. You know, in an age where, you know, 3D has really taken over to not just mean the perspective of graphics, but now also with the likes of the 3DS and other 3D gaming formats on the 360 and the PS3 as well. 3D gaming really is starting to be pushed out there. It's nice to have a game where it belongs in a visual format that is best suited to this type of genre for me. Platform games are best suited 2D. If you look at how Sonic's 3D transition has always been a bit hit and miss, you know, I mean, I think the only one that really worked reasonably well was Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast. I think that's what it was called. I always get mixed up with my Sonic games, but yeah, that one on the Dreamcast, that worked very well. But for the most part, I mean, Sonic Generations is probably the best Sonic game, new Sonic game, that's been out for a number of years, and part of that has only been for me because it kind of reimagines the original Sonic game as part of the process of it. I mean, in fairness to Sega, they did a very good job, but at the same time, they you know, Sonic's had quite a checkered history, especially in the later generations. The rather sad thing is that poor old James Pond has sort of died a bit of a death. I know there was Aquatic Games, and I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure there was a James Pond 3, although I'm not 100% sure, but he certainly never found a new home, which is a bit of a surprise because, as far as I was concerned, these games were really good and were well liked. I mean, you know, it's a bit of a cutesy game, but there's a bit of black humour, dark humour thrown in there, I suppose. Not much of it, just a hint of it. And it's one of the better platformers out there. At least it tried something new. I like the expandable body that you can grip onto other parts of the level with. I like the fact, like here, you can get into a car and run things over and stuff. A bit later on, you'll see that you can get into a plane as well. I like all that kind of stuff. I think it's really well done, and it adds, you know, adds a considerable amount of variety, shall we say, to proceedings. And you know, that's the good thing. The levels are varied. You know, one of the main criticisms I always had with the early Mario games in particular, I did enjoy them, but one of the things that always annoyed me was the fact that they were so samey. I mean, it was always going from left to right. You just think about that, left to right. Yeah, always going from left to right, and it was always like a variation of the same thing. And it was only really until the sort of later Mario games that they started to vary it up a bit to try to keep the interest level there. But here, I mean, you know, it's proper closed-in levels. You're going up and down, left, right. You know, there's various traps, and so on and so forth. There's, I know, a nice variety of bad guys. Some of them fly, and you know, some of them crawl along the ground. Some are human-like, others are, you know, weird. There's a lot of imagination here, and that's always nice to see in a game. You know, that there's a lot of imagination going, and this, you know, it's the developers of the game have taken some time and effort in thinking about the design and making it a challenge. I mean, it is a challenge. It can be bloody hard at times, and it also can be exceptionally frustrating. I think one of the things that, if people were put off initially, it was by the fact that it could be difficult. It could be a little bit unfair too. But I don't know. I always keep coming back to it. There's something compelling about this game that I always keep coming back to. Now, I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure in the Mega Drive version of this game, you were picking up penguins. I could be wrong, I could be thinking of another game, but I didn't think it was little elves. Little Christmas elves. I always thought it was penguins. I could be mistaken, I'll have to look on that. Yeah, I thought not too sure. Anyway, yeah, here's another vehicle. I love this bit. You can jump into an airplane and you can fly around the level. That's always cool. But again, there's some nasty, fiendish traps like those spikes there that can ruin your day just when you're having a nice fly around. If you hit the spikes, you come flying out of the aeroplane, and the plane usually takes off in one direction and you take off in the other, and that can be very, very annoying. Fortunately though, you can get back to the plane, or you can actually do the level without the need of the aeroplane. It just tends to make life a lot easier. And what's also unusual with this game is you have energy and lives, and for an old school platform type game that was quite rare. Normally you'd have one or the other, but you actually have both here, and you think that would make the game too easy. Well, believe me, it doesn't make the game too easy at all. You also have end of level bad guys like this one here that come along every so often, and essentially you're required to jump on the head. You can see their energy bar depleting, and it's just a case of avoiding their attacks. This is the first one you come across in the game, and so you know it's quite simple to get shut off, but others have different attacks and they can become a bit more tricky to get past. As I say, this one's quite straightforward. And yeah, a big massive teddy bear with spikes on trying to kill you. So, I mean, trying to think of anything else to say about it. Not a lot really. You can get this. I mean, I'm playing this on the PlayStation 3. You can. One of the beauties of the PlayStation 3 is the fact that, despite the fact that Sony took out backwards compatibility for PlayStation 2 games, rather bizarrely, they left the compatibility in with the original PlayStation games, which is rather nice of them, and meant that I didn't have to try and hope to God that my original PlayStation worked, because I've no doubt that it won't. It was on its last legs when it was boxed away, just before I got the PlayStation 2. So yeah, you can actually pick this up on the PlayStation 3 via the PlayStation Network Marketplace, and it's well worth checking out. I can't remember how much it was because I'm a PlayStation Plus subscriber, so I got it for free. But it is well worth checking out. It's a really good game and I really enjoy playing it. So yeah, that's it for James Pond 2 Robocod. Please stay tuned to my channel for more videos coming up soon. Thank you.